The notification exploded across Remus' phone screen like a bomb in the quiet living room of their cozy Seattle apartment. Aspen grabbed her hand tightly, her knuckles turning white as the audio file auto-played the unmistakable voice of Remus' mother saying, "We accept the $1.2 million to make sure Remy never embarrasses us with her choices." In that moment Remy felt her entire world collapse, knowing her own family had chosen money over her truth, and the consequences would be devastating for everyone involved. Remy stared at the screen, her vision blurring with hot tears. The voice continued, her mother's softer tone agreeing that it was the only way to protect the family business and their standing in the community. Aspen paused the recording and pulled Remy into her arms, her own body shaking. "We knew this day might come, but not like this, honey," she whispered. Remy buried her face in Aspen's shoulder, inhaling the familiar scent of vanilla shampoo that always brought her peace. But today there was no peace, only a deep burning betrayal that threatened to consume her. For 2 years Remy and Aspen had built a life together in secret, or so they thought. They met at a charity event where Aspen was teaching art to underprivileged kids, and Remy was there as a graphic designer donating her time. Their connection was instant, a quiet understanding that grew into late-night conversations and stolen kisses in park corners. Remy had always known she was lesbian, but in her conservative family coming out was never an option. Her father, Richard Thompson, was a prominent real estate developer, whose deals relied on old-school networks that valued traditional family images. Her mother, Elaine, was the perfect socialite, hosting galas and serving on boards that preached family values. Remy had hidden Aspen for so long, introducing her as a friend when necessary. The weight of that secrecy had been heavy, but their love made it bearable. Now that secrecy was shattered. The audio was from a private meeting 2 months ago where a major investor had offered the bribe to ensure Remy stayed in the closet. Apparently the investor had discovered the relationship through a private investigator and saw it as a risk to a multimillion-dollar project. Remus' phone rang again, her sister's name flashing. She ignored it, turning to Aspen. "They paid my family to erase us like we were a dirty secret. How much is my happiness worth to them? $1.2 million apparently." Aspen cupped Remus' face, her green eyes filled with determination and pain. "You are not a secret, Remy. You are the bravest person I know. But we need to think about what happens next. Your family will be calling soon, and the news is spreading fast. Already there are comments online, some supportive, some vicious." Remy nodded, feeling the pressure building in her chest. Part of her wanted to run away with Aspen to start fresh somewhere no one knew them. But another part, the daughter who had spent years trying to earn her parents' approval, screamed in protest. She had always tried to be the perfect child in every way except this one truth. The doorbell rang unexpectedly, making both women jump. Aspen checked the peephole. "It's your mother." Remy froze. How did she get here so fast? The drive from their mansion in Bellevue was at least 30 minutes. She must have left the moment the leak happened. Remy opened the door and Elaine Thompson burst in, her perfectly styled hair disheveled, her eyes red. "Remy, we can explain this. It was never supposed to come out. Your father thought it was the best for everyone, including you." Remy stepped back, her voice cold. "Best for everyone, Mom. You took money to keep me from being who I am. To make me pretend Aspen doesn't exist." Elaine reached out, but Remy pulled away. The pain in her mother's eyes was real, but it didn't erase the words on the recording. "We were desperate. The business was about to collapse. That money saved jobs, Remy. Hundreds of people." Remy laughed bitterly. "And what about me, my life, my love? Does that not count?" Elaine looked at Aspen with a mix of pity and resentment. "This is not about you, Aspen. This is family." Aspen stood tall. "Remy is my family now." The argument escalated quickly, voices rising in the small apartment. Remy felt torn between the love for her mother she had always known and the deep wound of being commodified. Her inner voice screamed that she deserved to be loved wholly, not conditionally. Yet the guilt crept in. Had her relationship caused her family this crisis? Was it selfish to hold on to Aspen when so much was at stake? Elaine pleaded for them to come to the house to talk as a family before the media descended. Remy agreed reluctantly, knowing the confrontation was inevitable. As they drove through the rain-soaked streets of Seattle, Remy held Aspen's hand tightly, wondering if this was the beginning of the end for her relationship with her parents or for her own sense of self. Upon arriving at the sprawling family home, the tension was palpable. Richard was pacing in the study, his face pale. The phone hadn't stopped ringing, partners pulling out, sponsors canceling. He looked at Remy with a mix of anger and fear. This is your fault for not being careful. If you had just kept it quiet, none of this would have happened. Remy felt the words like a slap. So it's my fault you took the bribe, Dad. The room fell silent, as the full weight of the betrayal settled over them all. Remy realized in that moment that the price of their silence was her soul, and she wasn't sure she could pay it anymore. The family gathered in the living room, Elaine wringing her hands, Brooke, the younger sister, sitting quietly avoiding eyes. Remy demanded the full story. Elaine sighed and began explaining how the investor Mrs. Vance had approached them months ago at a private dinner. The business was on the edge of bankruptcy after a bad investment, Richard admitted, his voice cracking. Mrs. Vance offered the cash as a grant, but with the clear condition that Remus' personal life stayed completely private. No public appearances with anyone who could raise questions, no social media hints, nothing that could tarnish the family brand they had built over 20 years. Elaine looked down at her hands, remembering the meeting in the conference room downtown. Mrs. Vance had laid out the check on the table and said $1.2 million to keep the daughter in line. Elaine had hesitated then, but Richard had argued it was temporary, just until the big project closed. We could pay off the debts, expand the offices, and secure your future, Remy. You would never have to worry. But inside, Elaine had felt the twist in her gut, knowing she was bargaining away her daughter's happiness. She had told herself it was love that mothers sacrifice everything. Yet as the words left her mouth on that recording, she had known deep down it was fear talking, fear of losing status, fear of the whispers at the country club. Brooke finally spoke up, her voice small. I was there too, Remy. I didn't want to, but Mom said if we didn't take it, the whole family would suffer. I thought maybe you could just wait a little longer. Remy stared at her sister, the one person she thought might understand. Wait for what, Brooke? For me to stop loving Aspen, for me to become the straight daughter you all want? The betrayal cut deeper, hearing it from her own sister. Aspen sat beside Remy, her hand steady on Remus' knee, offering silent strength. Remy drew on that strength to keep her voice even. You all sat in a room and decided my life was worth $1.2 million. What does that make me? A liability, a problem to be fixed with cash? Richard slammed his fist on the table. We did what we had to do. The world isn't as accepting as you think, Remy. One photo of you two and the deals dry up, the clients run. We protected you. Remy shook her head, the anger mixing with sorrow. Protected me by erasing me. By making me hide the best part of my life. Aspen spoke, then her tone calm but firm. Hiding didn't protect anyone. It just delayed the truth. Now the truth is out and you have to face what you did. Elaine reached for Remy again, tears falling. Please, Remy, come home, stay with us while we fix this. We can say it was a misunderstanding, a fake recording. Remy pulled away, standing up. I am home with Aspen. The price you paid to keep me silent just showed me how little my truth matters to you. As the night wore on, the arguments circled back to the same points, Elaine begging for understanding, Richard defending the business decision, Brooke caught in the middle trying to mediate, but clearly torn. Remy listened to her mother's pleas and felt the old pull of loyalty, the years of Sunday dinners and family vacations where she had smiled through the discomfort. But every time she looked at Aspen, she remembered the nights they had talked about a future without secrets, a home they could share openly. The decision was forming in her mind. She could not go back to hiding. Yet the guilt lingered. What if her choice to stand firm destroyed everything her parents had built? She excused herself to the balcony, Aspen following. In the cool night air, Aspen whispered, we don't have to decide everything tonight. But you can't let them buy your silence again. Remy nodded, but inside the conflict raged the daughter, who wanted to forgive, battling the woman who refused to be sold. The next morning the news had spread further, local blogs picking up the story, comments flooding in calling the family hypocrites, others defending them as victims of a liberal agenda. Remy checked her work email and saw a message from her boss requesting an urgent meeting. The pressure was mounting and she knew the real storm was just beginning. Elaine watched her daughter from the window, her heart breaking, as she realized the money had not saved the family, it had only bought them time until the truth demanded its price. Remy and Aspen left the family home before dawn, the drive back to their apartment filled with heavy silence. Aspen finally broke it. You don't owe them anything, Remy. They made their choice, now we make ours. Remy gripped the steering wheel, her mind replaying every word from the night before. Part of her wanted to believe her parents had acted out of desperation. But the recording played on loop in her head, the casual way they had agreed to bury her identity. I keep thinking about all the times I almost told them Aspen. The holidays, the birthdays. I held back because I knew this would happen. Now it has, and I feel like I caused it by existing as I am. Back in the apartment, Aspen made coffee while Remy paced. They talked for hours about the options. Aspen suggested they release their own statement, a simple video affirming their love and calling out the bribe as wrong. It would take control of the narrative. Remy hesitated, the thought of going public terrifying after years of hiding. What if it makes things worse for your job at the school? Aspen shrugged. If they fire me for who I love, then it wasn't the right place anyway. But I won't ask you to do something you're not ready for. The love in Aspen's eyes steadied Remy, but the fear remained. She thought about the cost Aspen might pay her teaching career, her relationships with her own more open-minded family. Was it fair to drag her deeper into this mess? By afternoon, the media calls started. Remy ignored them, but her phone buzzed with texts from old friends, some offering support, others questioning why she had hidden it. One message from a coworker read, "Sorry, Remy, but the clients are freaking out. We need to talk." The professional fallout was hitting fast. Remy sat on the couch, head in hands. "I built my career on being reliable, on fitting in. Now one truth, and it's all at risk." Aspen knelt in front of her. "Your career is important, but your peace is more. You've paid enough by hiding." Remy pulled her close, their foreheads touching, the quiet moment a small anchor in the chaos. That evening Elaine called again, her voice hoarse. "Remy, please, the investor is furious. They want us to deny everything or return the money. We can't afford that." Remy felt the manipulation, the guilt trip, wrapped in desperation. "So now you want me to lie to save you after you lied about accepting the bribe?" Elaine sobbed. "I love you, Remy. This is killing me." Remy hung up, the tears coming despite her resolve. She turned to Aspen. "I don't know how to forgive this, but cutting them off feels like losing part of myself." Aspen held her through the night, whispering words of strength, reminding her that real family didn't demand silence for survival. The next day at work, Remus' boss called her in. The meeting was short and painful. "The company image is everything, Remy. With this scandal, clients are pulling contracts. We have to let you go, effective immediately." Remy walked out, numb, the severance check in her hand, feeling like another bribe to disappear. She called Aspen from the parking lot, her voice breaking. "They fired me. Just like that." Aspen rushed to meet her, and they sat in the car talking through the pain. "This is the price they warned about," Remy said, "but I never thought it would hurt this much." Aspen squeezed her hand. "We will rebuild together." But the doubt lingered in Remus' mind. Was her truth worth all this loss for everyone involved? As the week progressed, the societal pressure mounted. Neighbors whispered when Aspen went to the store. Old acquaintances unfollowed her on social media. Remy spent hours scrolling through the comments, some calling her brave, others labeling her family as greedy hypocrites. She felt exposed, raw, like her private self had been auctioned off. In quiet moments, she questioned if staying hidden longer might have prevented the collapse. Aspen noticed the withdrawal and confronted her gently. "Don't let their shame become yours. You did nothing wrong." The conversation led to a decision: they would attend a small support group for LGBT couples facing family issues. It was a small step, but it felt like reclaiming agency. The backlash intensified faster than Remy could have imagined. Local news vans parked outside the family mansion, and the investor, Mrs. Vance, issued a statement distancing herself, calling the leak a private matter mishandled. Remus' former colleagues sent mixed messages, some offering condolences, others admitting they had to protect their own positions. She spent days in the apartment avoiding the outside world, Aspen bringing her food and forcing her to eat. The internal conflict raged, Remy replaying childhood memories of her mother braiding her hair and promising the world was hers. Now that world felt conditional on conformity. One afternoon, Brooke showed up unannounced at the apartment, her eyes puffy. "Remy, I didn't leak it, but I knew about the recording. Mom asked me to delete it from her phone, but I hesitated." Remy felt another layer of betrayal. "You knew and you said nothing." Brooke sat down, twisting her hands. "I thought if it stayed buried we could all move on. The family needs you, Remy. Dad is talking about selling the company. Mom barely sleeps." Remy stood up, anger flaring. "And what about what I need Brooke to be accepted as I am, not as a problem to be paid off." Aspen watched from the kitchen, giving Remy space, but ready to step in. Brooke left with a plea for a family meeting, but Remy refused. The price of reconciliation felt too high if it meant more compromise. Aspen faced her own challenges at the elementary school where she taught. The principal called her in for a meeting about parent complaints. Nothing official yet, but the optics are bad, Aspen. We support diversity, but with the media attention it might be best to take some time off. Aspen came home defeated, but determined. I told them I won't hide either. Remy hugged her, the roles reversing as she comforted Aspen. They are paying the price too for my truth. The couple talked late into the night about running away to a new city, but Remy knew that would be another form of hiding. They decided instead to draft a joint statement, simple and honest, about love and the harm of bribes used to silence identity. The statement went live on social media, and the response was mixed. Support poured in from strangers, but the family received death threats and business inquiries dried up completely. Elaine texted Remy a photo of the for sale sign on the mansion, her message reading, "This is what your truth cost us." Remy cried reading it, the guilt heavy. Aspen reminded her gently that the cost was shared. The parents had chosen the bribe long before the leak. Still, Remy wrestled with the moral question in her journal late at night. Was my silence the only way to keep them safe, or was their greed the real destroyer? Media outlets dug deeper, interviewing former employees who revealed the family's history of pushing traditional values while ignoring internal issues. Remy watched one interview, her mother's face on screen defending the decision as parental protection. The pain was fresh each time. She and Aspen attended a protest for LGBT rights, the first public appearance together hand in hand. The act felt liberating, but the stares and whispers reminded them the world still judged. Remy whispered to Aspen in the crowd, "I am scared, but I am also free for the first time." The full leak exploded further when more details surfaced online, the exact terms of the bribe, the signed agreement scanned and shared by an anonymous source. The family business lost 3 major contracts in one day, Richard calling Remy in panic. "We are ruined. Come home and help us spin this." Remy refused, the decision firm, but the emotional toll mounting. Aspen noticed the exhaustion in her eyes and suggested therapy. "We both need it. This is too much to carry alone." They booked sessions, the counselor helping Remy unpack the years of internalized shame and the fresh wound of parental betrayal. Aspen's own family reacted differently, her parents supportive, but worried about the publicity affecting their small business. Her mother visited the apartment, bringing food and a hug for both women. "We love you, Aspen, and we love Remy. But be careful, the world can be cruel." The contrast with Remus' family stung, deepening the sense of loss. Remy broke down that night, admitting the envy she felt. "Your family chooses love, mine chose money." Aspen held her. "We can build our own family." The betrayals layered on when Brooke posted a vague social media story, siding with the parents, calling for privacy and forgiveness without addressing the bribe. Remy confronted her over text, the exchange ending in blocked numbers. The sisterly bond another casualty. Elaine tried one last secret meeting at a coffee shop, begging Remy to publicly forgive them for the sake of saving the remaining assets. Remy sat across from her mother, seeing the lines of stress. The woman who had once been her hero now looked broken. "I can't, Mom. Not without you admitting it was wrong." Elaine hesitated, then whispered, "I know it was wrong, but I was scared." The admission came too late, the damage done. Aspen faced a formal complaint at work, leading to unpaid leave. She came home angry but resolute. "They want me to deny us or step back. I want." The couple faced the real possibility of financial strain. Remy jobless, Aspen sidelined. They made a budget cut, non-essentials, and leaned on each other, the love deepening through the fire. Yet Remy still questioned in quiet moments if her insistence on truth had forced everyone into this corner. The moral dilemma weighed: if love required sacrifice of family, or if family required sacrifice of self. A major tabloid ran a feature painting Remy as the ungrateful daughter, and the parents as victims of extortion by the investor. The narrative twisted the facts, and public opinion shifted against Remy in some circles. She read the article, the words cutting deep. Aspen deleted the link from her browser. "Don't let them rewrite our story." The support group became their lifeline, stories of other women facing similar family rejections, helping Remy see she was not alone. The climax came at a final family showdown in a neutral hotel conference room arranged by a mediator. Richard looked aged, his business dreams in ruins. Elaine sat with folded hands. Brooke avoided eye contact. Remy and Aspen entered together, hands linked. The mediator laid out the facts, the bribe, the leak, the losses. Remy spoke first, her voice steady. I love you all, but I cannot trade my truth for your comfort anymore. The price is too high for everyone. Elaine broke down, admitting the bribe had been a mistake born of panic, not love. Richard nodded slowly, the anger gone, replaced by regret. We lost more than money. We lost you. Brooke apologized for her divided loyalty, the family airing every grievance, the betrayals, the sacrifices, the internal conflicts that had simmered for years. Remy listened, the tears flowing as she saw the human cost on all sides. Aspen added her perspective, the pain of being erased, the strength it took to stand beside Remy. The meeting ended without full reconciliation, but with a fragile understanding. The parents would not fight the truth anymore, and Remy would not demand immediate forgiveness. The business closed, the mansion sold, the family scattered to smaller lives. In the months that followed, Remy and Aspen rebuilt slowly, Remy finding freelance work, Aspen returning to teaching at a more inclusive school. They moved to a brighter apartment, the love their constant anchor. Elaine sent occasional messages, small steps toward healing. Richard stayed distant, but sent a card on Remus' birthday. The scars remained, but the awakening had come, each character paying the price in lost security, damaged bonds, and shattered illusions. As the sun rose over their new balcony, Remy held Aspen close, the city humming below. The freedom tasted bittersweet, the family she once knew gone, but the self she had found worth every tear. In the end, was the family's choice to trade truth for money the ultimate betrayal? Or was Remus' refusal to stay hidden the decision that truly forced everyone to face the cost of living a lie?